Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today. So, I would like to talk about the subtle differences between folk beliefs, magical beliefs, and established religion. Let's begin. When I want to start a research or conduct a research regarding a certain object, I'm observing it and I try to understand if it belongs to religious art, folk art, or perhaps a magical artifact. The thing is that the borders, the lines between those three categories are very lucid. Researchers such as Yuval Harari, who wrote books about ancient magic in the Levant, said that those three categories used to be the three different sides of the same thing. In the old world, you could have gone to the temple and asked from the priest or the priestess that were in charge of the religious rituals to actually also give you an amulet or do some kind of a spell for you. It doesn't mean that it was necessarily part of the common religion or cultural beliefs. It's a bit hard to call this religion at this point, thousands of years ago, but it existed. Today, we tend to see religion as something very established, and mysticism and the magical acts that are a manifestation of mystical beliefs as something that didn't find its rightful place in religion. And folk beliefs are somewhere between the two of them. The question is, who decided which rituals, acts, and artifacts belong in established religion and what happens with all the others? Maybe mysticism and magical acts are also part of religion, but someone decided that a certain thing, a certain ritual that we do, or a certain object that we use is part of the religion, and all the others are somewhere between magical and folk beliefs. But in everyday life, those borders are being breached all the time. The problem is that in research, we sometimes need to make a very strong statement of what we think that we are researching. And then you have things that confuse you. I would like to show you two artifacts that I find super interesting, tell you why I find them interesting, and also why it's impossible to use them in a research. The first one is a very delicate tree of life in a way that you can find it in the Jewish Kabbalah, in mysticism teachings, but in a synagogue. There were many synagogues in a city called Iași in Romania. And in one of them, you find this beautiful piece of art. Now, this piece of art decorated the bima. The bima in a synagogue is a place where the person that leads the prayer is standing on, either the rabbi or a member of the community. Usually in synagogues you don't find motifs, that their origin is in Jewish mysticism, because they kept this separation between religion and mysticism in the synagogue very, very, very tightly, and most of the time it worked until it didn't. What you see in this decoration is the name of God in the middle, and surrounding it you have different qualities of the divine, such as grace, judgment, wisdom. The Kabbalistic tree of life evolved from the ancient symbol of the tree of life. But what they did in later Jewish mysticism is that the way to the divine needs to go through this tree, and you need to climb up the different qualities of the divine until you reach the top of the tree. And this is the seventh heaven, where you meet the divine God at the top of the tree. And the tree itself many times had feminine qualities, because the tree of life was originally a very feminine symbol. And the one, as we said before, that travels up and down this tree of life is the Shekinah, the feminine manifestation of God in Jewish mysticism. Now, it's not that the community didn't have magical manuscripts or used amulets, but not in the synagogue. The synagogue was a central place of established religion. It was very important. It represented the community. and mystic decorations and magical decorations were elsewhere, but not in the synagogue itself. The problem with this artifact is that we know only of one. Another interesting artifact is this Hanukkah menorah, this Hanukkah lamp. During the festival of Hanukkah, you light the candles in this menorah, in this lamp. And this one comes from Morocco, from the late 19th century, early 20th century. But this one has something a bit odd about that. You see those three weird figurines in the middle? They're figurines of Lilith. What are they doing on a Hanukkah lamp, on a Hanukkah menorah? And the thing is, we don't know, because we have only one. And when I look this one up, this is really interesting because in English they described it as demonic figures. In Hebrew they wrote, it's Lilith. And I wonder why. I also wonder why we have only one. They do resemble the figurines that you find in the middle of incantation bowls in Mesopotamia, and also, very careful saying that, but there was also a symbolism of an ancient moon and fertility goddess called Tanit or Tinit in the Levant, so it's miles away. But you could find her as a symbol of protection on ancient stones. You could find her usually with the crescent of a moon, and it was a symbol of loyalty, asking for blessings and devotion to the local gods. So we can see figurines through all of the area of the Mediterranean Sea that we can use in many different ways. But then again, when it comes to Hanukkah menorahs in the 19th or the 20th century in the area of Morocco, the Jewish communities in Morocco, we find only one. And this is the problem with those super interesting artifacts. I'm looking at them as a researcher and I'm trying to see what I can say about them. Maybe something about the divine feminine in synagogues and the importance of the Shekinah, and also the fact that it has flowers, a very feminine symbol, and why it surrounds the name of God. And about the Hanukkah menorah, maybe it has something to do with dark femininity, or maybe the way that they thought that the light will cast away demons. I don't know, but that's the problem, I don't know. Because even though my research is dealing with art, history, mythology, or folk magic, there's only one. In order to say something about communities, their beliefs, or even their art, I need more than one artifact. I need a group of them in a certain location, in a certain time. And although I find those two artifacts absolutely fascinating, there isn't much I can do about them than just saying they're interesting. Because I don't have anything else I can either compare it to or say that it was a breach in what was accustomed in those areas. Hopefully that later on maybe I will be lucky enough to find some other reference to artifacts like that in such different places of the world. Maybe there were others that we don't know about, we haven't found them, they are lost in history. I do hope that we will find something that will help us to use them in research and actually say something and come to any kind of a conclusion, or even just suggest some kind of a reading of what we can do with those two artifacts. Because they're a breach, they're a glitch in the matrix, if you like, between established religion and the art in synagogues, folk beliefs, and magical acts. Will we find others? Maybe so. And until we do, let me know what you think. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time.